If you look at AI today, I was reading an article, 95% of all the AI use cases fail because they don't seem to generate the positive ROI that the business expects. The 5% that actually succeed are the ones that you have to double down on. And make sure it's not just a technology change, but it's also a business process change, followed by that whole change management, where it's a new way of working that can be, imagined.
So welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I never imagined to have someone so important in our podcast. And you are one of the biggest CIOs, CTOs that I have ever interviewed. Thank you so much for being here. And today we are in the middle of a celebration. We are in VTEX Day in São Paulo with around 25,000 people that will be here in the next 2 days. Tell me your first impression on the event on São Paulo, Brazil. How are you feeling it?
Well, I would say the word is energized. I have been to several such events before, not in São Paulo. I've been to São Paulo several times, but never at a VTEX event. And I'm really surprised to see the gathering. And I'm more excited to just see, the inspiration and the companies that have all set up. And I'm sure it's going to be a great event.
Amazing. A lot of people always ask me, why we don't have this in the United States? The answer is Brazilian energy, it is like all around. But we have the commitment of doing it in United States. We are doing some VTEX Live, VTEX Connect in New York after NRF every single year, but we need to be bold. I agree with you. We need to be bold and to be able to do it in United States. So, sir, can you share a little bit about your background for the ones that don't have the luxury of being around you yet or to know you yet? Can you tell us a little bit of who you are, your career, so everybody can get in context with you?
Absolutely. My name is Gokul. I was born in India, after which I did my engineering. So I'm an industrial engineer by trade. I have worked at a couple companies. One was a technology company for a few years, and after which my friends and I, we had a startup that I was part of for a few years. After that, I wrote my GMAT. I came to the US to do my MBA. I went to Purdue. I did my MBA from there. And after which I got hired into Whirlpool Corporation as part of a leadership development program. Leadership development program at a Fortune 100, 150 is typical. You get to experience different sides of technology, the business, you rotate across, and eventually, you decide whether that's the right thing for you, and you carve out a path. So over the last, I would say 11 and a half years, I've been with Whirlpool Corporation. I've done multiple roles in the infrastructure side, on the engineering side, with procurement. And right now in my role, I'm the CIO for KitchenAid, which is a well-known brand. It's been a journey of learning. It's been a journey of, gratitude. And I'm very lucky to be where I am today.
Thank you so much for being so humble.
Yeah.
The company that you are working is one of the biggest one and have the biggest brand and trajectory in United States and the world. And during this period of time, we are in a technological revolution. Let's recognize this. How you are able to manage the challenges between the business, the brand, technology, security. You are in the middle of that to coordinate business requirement, new trends of the consumers, new technology or product that you need to deliver and ship. How a leader like you are able to coordinate all these type of demands and serve the technological transformation?
That's a loaded question. One of the ways I look at this is you should always be a business first person. So for me, it's always been business first, technology second. I look at myself as a business leader with IT accountability as opposed to being an IT leader with business accountability. When I'm sitting with the president, the CFO, the chief of marketing and all that, I should be able to translate how technology is going to enable the business, how it is going to drive top line growth, how it's going to save money, etc. So I would say a critical element is storytelling, and that narrative has to follow the money. I also believe we should not be doing technology for the sake of technology, because it really does not pay dividends. So understanding the business needs, what is the problem the business is facing? Is there an opportunity out there that is untapped that technology can help get to? And then working closely with a business where you create a business strategy followed by a technology strategy is where, the magic happens. Because I've seen several examples where, technology has been deployed for the sake of technology, but totally disconnected from business. And it ends up as a solution where we're trying to find a problem too. It should be the other way around. And right now, to your first point, technology is omnipresent. It's ever changing. So what is that right technology that we need to invest in? What is the right approach? What should be our product roadmap that can, again, align the technology strategy with the business strategy is, again, something that we should be really, really mindful of, because it is extremely easy to get diverted to a certain path and choose one technology that might never be scalable, or it might not give you the right returns that you're expecting. So I think the problem today is the problem of plenty, where there are too many things to choose from. You need to be careful and mindful of your choices and how that's going to impact your short-term and long-term strategy for the company.
Fully aligned. I think we have never have so many possible vendors, solutions, architecture for the companies to choose. And it is I think I agree with you. I didn't have realized that, but I think maybe it's the most difficult moment to be a CIO in a company, because the past 10 years, 20 years, it was so obvious the company I need to hire. We have the SAP, we have the Salesforce, we have the Oracles. I was like no-brainer decision on who to hire, and then a strong work of coordination. Right now we have the big ones, but we have thousands of amazing startups that are popping up, bringing different qualities, different skills, different assets to the table. And then you need to regulate business, also security, also privacy, also speed. And it is not an easy output. And also something that I believe the CEOs and the board are not accepting anymore is to have like longer projects. No one is accepting a 18 months project, 24 months project. That was the standard for any technological project 10 years ago. Now what I see when I talk with boards or the CEO is like 2 months. It is 1 month. It is why we don't do it in 1 week. And this brings more pressure to your role. And that I will tell you what will be the advice for other CIOs, CTOs in the world. What will be a good framework or playbook to make this type of decision without staying attached to the past or a bias to the known, but not also taking a responsible decision, just jumping in any new crazy startup that jump in. So can you give us an advice or a framework?
Yeah, I mean, there is no set framework here, because it would just depend on the situation, the problem at hand, etc. But a general rule of thumb that I follow is everything that you're doing from a technology standpoint should impact the consumer a positive way. If it is not impacting the consumer, it should at the very least improve internal productivity for your team. That can again improve the end user journey, if you will. Generally speaking, you build a business case, and as you said, people want results sooner. They are not willing to wait 2 years to see what the results are. Generally, when you create a project plan, a program, you need to identify, quick wins that could be shorter at a shorter time frame, and try to deploy that and show the benefit to the organization, to your stakeholders, to your CEO, to your president, to your CFO, where you can show them and build credibility that a certain investment is paying dividends. And once you get that, that is your opportunity to scale it up and, grow more. On the flip side, there's also a very, very possible scenario where an investment does not show returns. That is your opportunity to cut it then and there and say, this was good learning and I'm not going to scale it. If you look at AI today, I was reading an article, 95% of all the AI use cases fail because they don't seem to generate the positive ROI that the business expects. However, the 5% that actually succeed are the ones that you have to double down on. And, make sure it's not just a technology change, but it's also a business process change followed by that whole change management where it's a new way of working that can be, imagined.
I think I can be aligned with the 95% of the document that you were reading. I will tell you, when my employees, when I ask them who is using AI, I will tell you 100% they tell me that they are using cloud codes every single day. And they are so excited using it. And then when I ask, okay, but which of these development or deployed will impact the consumer, then go almost to zero.
Yeah.
It's like the boom of AI is like, yes, it's amazing. I can take this data from this data, deploy an app here, do this. Okay, but are you able to sell more? Are you able to reduce the tickets? Are you able to sell faster? Are you able to implement faster? Then the room starts to get a little bit quiet. So what you say is real. One point to make any decision on where to put the full energy is, it is going to impact the consumer, yes or no. It's not just like, I'm going to feel excited. It's going to be, wow, it's going to be beautiful. I will show to my peers, my colleagues, look what I'm doing. Okay, that is for training. That could be for educational process of, re-skilling purpose, if you want to say. But if you are going to talk about business, you need to be able to impact the consumer and to measure it. And I think right now, I would say that yes, fully agree. Less than 5% of the AI that is in the world are impacting the consumer.
Yeah, and maybe to add, you hit on it, in our previous conversation here. In the past few years, we're talking about investments in technology are something that you can see, touch. As an example, an ERP, there were clear benefits into SAP and, what we're seeing. Today, when we talk about AI, the way I think about it is it's the investment in unknowns where, we want to invest because we don't want to lose out on the race. Everyone's talking about it. But at the same time, we're not sure how our business strategy or how our consumers are going to see value out of it. So the real thing here is, if it does not get you the returns within a stipulated time, stop it and try for something else.
And something that I am starting to receive from some vendors or some clients or brands, when they tell me, look, I'm bringing this data for the customer here, and I share it to this AI solution there, and there, the AI doing its thing, and they're bringing this, and I say, okay, can you explain me how the system is doing this? No, it's AI. Not even Anthropic CEO knows. Not even Sam Altman. Okay, fuck, it's your responsibility to know where the data of your customer is. You cannot answer that. I was telling that for some clients in Romania and some brands in Europe, say, you cannot answer as the CEO of GPT. You cannot answer as the CEO of Anthropic. We have a responsibility with the clients, and we need to understand what is happening inside our system. This cannot be, as I don't know, is the AI can hallucinate? No. This is what our industry is here for.
The other trend that I'm also seeing, Santiago, is AI might be a good way to proceed. You have a system that is capable of transforming your processes, but your data does not support it. So foundationally, the way to think about it is you need to have structured data. On top of it, you have some sort of a golden record of the consumer, a consumer 360, after which you put AI and see transformation. Because at the end of it, fundamentally, it is still going to be garbage in, garbage out with some cleansing. A lot of times what I've seen, and especially in large organizations, is that whole, discipline around data, the discipline around maintaining the data is kind of an afterthought. And when you have data that is unstructured, that is not high in integrity, that is not rich, your output also going to be, the same.
I cannot be more aligned with you. And right now I have a situation with that. So for example, some of our retail in Mexico, a big one, was telling me, Santi, no, you don't need to worry about that.
Say, what?
No, because I'm just going to put all the WhatsApp connected to the salespeople or the emails, all the data, the conversation will be recorded, and then AI will do the job for me. I say, no. It is not like that. You need to define what is important, what is not important, what is the taxonomy, what is the data that you want the model to use.
Yeah.
If not, you are going to have 3,000 people just talking, bringing garbage to a model, and you're trying to create a model that operates for you. So it's continue being important, declare some methodologies for the data to be structured. Okay, after that, you can play around with the LLMs, but you need to guarantee that it's not a layer of them. Okay, let's move to another part. Gokul, you are a professional that made it to one of the top roles in the world and in the United States. And you are an inspiration for a lot of people, from a lot of Indian, for a lot of young talent that are there trying to take the bus to go to university, trying to pay the bills, the credit for the schools. And they see you as an inspiration, as someone that fight for what you have, that work hard for what you have in a disciplined and humble way. Can you share a little bit about the background? How is the process? How you were able to manage the resilience that need to have, the discipline, so they understand how is this process to scale in the world right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. When I look back at my life, there were several instances where I made a choice that got me here. I could have made another choice that was probably seemingly more enticing. That would have landed me in a totally different place, in a totally different journey. Now, I don't know whether this is the best possible journey I could have chosen, but I like to play the hand with the cards that I've been dealt with, rather than thinking of having better cards. So there are a couple things I want to say. First thing is always be curious. Curiosity is extremely important in terms of just learning things. Just the fact that about technology, how it's evolving, about a business, how do businesses run, etc. Because once you stop learning, you stop growing. And the moment you become content that you know everything, that's where I feel your decline begins, or you don't start to continue to add value to the organization or to yourself. So I would say always keep learning. There's tons of things to learn. I would also say have good mentors in life. There have been several people that I owe allegiance to for where I am today. My parents, some of my leaders, some of my school teachers, and so on and so forth. So it is always important to have, and it doesn't have to be somebody who's at a very senior level to be a mentor. It could be a peer. It could be someone below you that you can learn from. I always learn from people. There are things you can do. There are things you should not do, but always you're learning. And then you craft the journey that you want to be on. Lastly, I would say always try to give back. It is extremely important to share your knowledge, to develop people, to develop teams. The way I think about certain roles is when you get into a role, what is the legacy that you leave behind? How are you making people better than where you found them? How are you, making yourself better than how you found yourself in that particular role? And lastly, I feel I'm privileged. There are a lot of people that are not privileged. How do you give back to the society in meaningful ways that you can contribute to, through a nonprofit or through teaching or just helping people? I think that'll give you a more, I would say, fulfilled feeling of, life.
That is not a standard conversation. You are bringing something new to this podcast. I think the first time that I hear this. And thank you for doing so. And I know that you do it in your daily day, but also you are in the board of a non-profit. Are you okay sharing a little bit of this process that you do there? Something that I believe is that everybody should engage in this guy to share something back. If you ask me who I think I can do 20 times more on the sharing and taking back bringing everything that the society gave to us and everything that we have. Even for myself, I'm here thinking how I can change myself, my family, to give back to the society. And it's not only money, it could be time, it could be training, as you say, it could be coaching, could be, of course, working organization. That is an amazing. And I will try to engage with you after this podcast so you can be a mentor for me on that scenario. Technologically, you are a senior, you are smart, and I will learn from you, but I want to learn also from you on more the personal concept and the way you are living your life. And I didn't knew these details when I was doing the research for this podcast. I learned this about you and I say, wow, this guy is amazing. And I'm very excited to know you and to let everybody to know you. Gokul, do you want to share some last words? Do you want to share something or ask me anything?
I would say, what's been your journey? You've been an inspiration to me as well. Your beginnings seem to be humble enough from our discussions, but you've made it pretty big. I would love to learn your journey. And I would also want to just pass on this message to everyone. Be curious. Don't take no for an answer. Life is tough, everyone's indispensable. What I mean by that is there's no role that you can say cannot stop to exist. But I think the important thing is, how do you evolve? How do you stay abreast of everything that is available at your disposal? How do you stay abreast of everything that's changing, technology, business, culture, and be kind to people. I think that goes a long way. And I'm open to, I've always been open to suggestions, open to learning. And that is what's helped me get here. And I believe that's what will also help me get better in the long run. And as I said, always help people, because, it has to be mutual. So why don't you, Sandy, share about your journey, your story, if you don't mind.
Of course. I'm so inspired here by your words, but let me tell you a little bit of my story. I am from Medellin, Colombia. I grew up during the violence season of the country, but thanks God, my family was able to take me out to the farms outside. So I will be able to be aware of that. I I did my university. I am a financial engineer. And after that moment, I loved retail. And I worked in retail for 11 years, trying to pay the credit of the study, of the everything, paying back to. But I was managing warehouses. I was managing the physical store during the weekends, sleeping in the warehouse in the shopping malls. And I literally love it. I love it how to operate. And if you ask me, in a way, I miss that because that was the moment that for me I understood what was the business. After that, I went out of the company and I started to do consultancy project. I was a consultant for Calvin Klein, Coca-Cola, Sony, Samsung. And at that moment, I find out we were doing a good transformation cases, some good that was a successful, some bad that were a failure, and it's part of our learnings. Then I found my wife in that journey, and I joined VTEX as a consultant. We have zero money in VTEX, and I end up with no house, and I end up living in the house of my father and mother-in-law, of my wife, because VTEX didn't pay me for like 1 year. But well, we travel a lot. We create an amazing partnership with Gerardo and Mariano. And my commitment was to scale VTEX out of Brazil.
Yeah.
After some years, right now we are in 37 countries. I manage the global operation of the company. We did the IPO, and every single day I try to take the opportunity of young talent to demonstrate that we can have and we can build software for the world from different parts. Not need to be Germany, don't need to be United States, can be from different countries. And the young talent also are formed through scarcity, through diversity. So young talent that are around the world that have so difficult backgrounds.
Yeah.
They can see VTEX, they can see you or myself as an inspiration for them to scale. This is who we are.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for being here, sir.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you for being here in the podcast. Thank you, AWS. Thank you, all the sponsors. Thank you so much. Was an amazing conversation.
Thank you, Santi. Likewise. Take care.
Take care.